Hey everyone, Shaedow here, and welcome to another Marvel Contest of Champions video. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at Ronin. Now, I got him as a 4-star from the arena. I only went one round, and from what I've seen, I don't believe he needs to be awakened. I do have two 4-star generic awakening gems that I could use one of them on him, but I don't feel the need to. All right, so we took our 4-star Ronin up to rank 5, mainly because there was an objective. Objectives just came to the contest, and one of the objectives was to rank up an Avenger all the way up to rank 5. So that's why I chose to do that now, to complete that objective before I wasn't able to. All right, so we took him all the way up to rank 5, and now we're going to take a little closer look at this Ronin. And I like him. I'm not sure where I will use him, but I do like him. All right, let's find him here. There he goes. And he looks awesome, okay? They did an excellent job. I have made him, as you can see, my profile picture. Love the look. All right, so let's take a look first at his synergies. All right, and he has some decent synergies. So this synergy here, Last Hope, with Captain Marvel, increases the duration of his bleed debuffs, all right, by 3% for each active cruelty. So that's actually pretty good because he does a lot of bleeding. All right, unlikely combination with Ant-Man here. He gains 25% block proficiency while he's in guard stance. We will talk about his stances later, but that's also pretty good. Live and die by the sword. Blocking attacks have a 50% chance to bleed the opponent, dealing 15% of attack as direct damage over 5 seconds. That is huge, okay? I love it when I can do damage to them without having to hit them. So just taking blocked hits and then perhaps being in guard stance or one of the others, and you have that increased block proficiency with the Ant-Man, yeah, some really nice synergies, all right? Masterless, he gains a Fury buff, which increases his attack by 15% for 4 seconds when he switches stances. That one is not as nice as the other ones, but perhaps I'm missing something. All right, and I see the Moon Knight synergy, what he gets from it, looks pretty interesting. Might have to play around with that later. And finally, with Black Widow, everybody gets 5% power gain. All right, so now let's take a look at his abilities. And for right now, we're going to skip his signature ability, but we will look at it later as the 3-star. All right, so here's his passive. When Ronin would miss an attack or be evaded, he gains a cruelty passive, increasing critical damage. Okay, and he has a max of 7 stacks that he can get. That is very nice, especially if he's going up against an auto evader like Spider-Man or, even Mordo. Sword attacks using the sword, have a 15% chance to inflict bleed, dealing direct damage over 7 seconds. I told you, he bleeds folks a lot. Okay? And his critical strikes, they all have a 100% chance to inflict a bleed. So when he crits, he's going to bleed. If he's just hitting them, he has a 15% chance to bleed him. Okay? When he intercepts, so if you're good at intercepting, awesome. He gains critical rating. And remember, he's going to bleed when he crits. All right, now against a bleed immune champion, he gains a cruelty passive, all right, when he's going to inflict a bleed. So 15% chance, or if he crits, a 100% chance, and if he's going up against a bleed immune champion, he gets cruelty passives. Very, very nice. This reminds me of X-23. So the fact that he does a lot of bleeding, he's not bothered if he goes up against a bleed immune champion. He's still going to do lots of damage. Love him. Okay, now, here are his stances. And this makes the champion a bit unique. All right? He does what's called stance dancing. Love it. Okay? So Ronin prepares his stances by performing light attacks. So you do one light attack, and it prepares guard stance. 2 light attacks prepares wraith stance, and 3 light attacks prepares demon stance. Okay, now the reason that that's important that it prepares it is because you need to know how to trigger it. You know, if it triggered just by doing 1 light attack or 2 light attacks, you could possibly trigger a stance when you're not ready. Okay, so next, dodging back after preparing a stance makes Ronin enter the stance. And the stances are not affected by ability accuracy reduction, which means nobody can stop you from switching your stances. All right, so in order to go into guard stance, what you would do is you would fire off a light attack and then dodge back. And that goes into guard stance. Fire off 2 light attacks and dodge back, wraith stance. Fire off 3 light attacks, dodge back, and you go into demon stance. Now, something that you might want to know is that even if you are doing that into their block, it still switches the stance. So if you hit a light attack and they're blocking, doesn't matter. Fire the light attack off. You don't have to hit them. You don't even have to hit their block. Okay. Let's go down here. When entering a new stance, gain a cruelty passive, increasing critical damage, okay, by 247 or whatever it is, and you have a max of 7. All right. Now, when entering a stance, when you've reached 7 cruelty passives, you gain a precision passive that increases your critical rating even more for 15 seconds. Very, very nice. See, all these things are pretty good, but learning and mastering, that's going to be fun. Okay? So he has a lot going on. He's not overly complicated, but it's going to take a little bit to learn when to do what and how. All right? So guard stance here. All right? When he's in guard stance, all of his well-timed blocks activate the parry mastery, which will stun the opponent. But get this, even if their attack is projectile-based. So he can parry a projectile-based attack. Very, very nice, wouldn't you say? And he gains 35% chance to perfect block. Entering this stance has a 100% chance to purify a debuff. We're going to take a look at that. Now, you guys may remember Nick Fury, and he had Restoration Kit Synergy, and he could purify a debuff. Well, what you're going to see a little bit later is Ronin, when he does this first, he removes poison. If you're running full suicides, you have poison and bleed. He will remove the poison first. Nick Fury, that restoration kit removes the bleed first. But he'll remove the poison first, and I have it on good authority. Sinister Strawberry, shout out to Sinister Strawberry, one of the subs on my stream, gave me this shout out. He can remove the bleed as well. And we're going to test that out. But what I was told is he needs to, first he enters guard stance, but every time he enters guard stance from another stance, he's going to purify. So that means I have to enter guard stance once. That'll remove the poison. Then I have to go into another stance and then back to guard stance, and it'll remove the bleed. So we're going to test that out. Wraith stance, all attacks reduce defensive ability accuracy by 40%. Very strategic. Demon stance, all bleeds gain 75% ability accuracy and can be inflicted on blocked hits. That is so nice. So you really act like a demon. It don't matter if they're blocking. You just bleed them. You don't need them to stop blocking. Love it. All right, and here we go with all of his special attacks. Special attack 1, disorients the opponent, reducing defensive ability accuracy by 40% and block proficiency by 50% for 8 seconds. And then, of course, he enters a prepared stance. So not only do you enter the stance by dodging back, but if you fire off a special, you'll, or at least a special one, you'll enter your prepared stance. All right. Special attack 2, it inflicts a bleed that deals direct damage over time for each cruelty passive, and it removes all cruelty passives. So one of the things that I was told as far as damage goes is that you may want to build up, max out your cruelty passives, then fire off an L3, build up to a special 2, and fire that off. Okay, when you have all of those cruelty passive maxed out, you're doing a lot of damage. All right, and finally, the special 3, you gain a Fury passive, which increases attack rating for 35 seconds. Okay, so when you fire off that special 3, for 35 seconds, you have time to build up to a special 2 while you have that Fury passive. And if you get those cruelty passive built up, you're going to do a lot of damage. Okay, so that is Ronin. There's a lot, but he doesn't seem very complicated. And he is so smooth. His animations are great. All right, so we're going to first, before we go anywhere else, let's take a look at the 3-star and look at the ability, his signature ability, and see what it's about. All right, so while at 7 cruelty passives, he gains a passive evasion on the next incoming hit for 0.4 seconds. It removes all cruelty passives when he evades an attack. Successful evades do not grant stance abilities. So you're not going to trigger it just from these evades. When Ronin evades an attack, he gains a Fury passive, increasing attack rating for 7 seconds. So nice to have, but not worth me using a generic on him. And he really doesn't need to be awakened, in my opinion, right now. I may find out later that it does something that I'm not seeing here. All right, so let's take a look at Ronin. All right, so you can see the team that I've gone in here with, and we'll take a look at the synergies that I have active. Pretty much all of the synergies except for the power gain. All right, so we're going to jump into here against Winter Soldier. Now, the very first thing I want to show you guys, look at the suicides. I'm running full suicides, as you can see. Boom. Poison is gone. I did 1 light attack, dash back, and it's gone. Now I still have the bleed. Now it's gone. So what I did just that quickly was I did a light attack, dash back, poison gone. I did 2 light attacks, dash back. I went into a different stance. Then I did another light attack, dash back, went back into guard stance, and that removed the bleed. Okay, so now look at the bleeds. Did you see that his bleeds, the stacks went up as he was firing into my block? So that's a projectile, and I was bleeding him from a distance. All right, so that's the special 3. Very, very cool. You guys saw that from the beginning of the video. All right, so now at this point, you see I have a Fury. All right, I got another temporary Fury, but that Fury that you see over there, and if you look to the right, you saw more bleeds happen when he hit into my block again. But that Fury, I have 35 seconds to make use of it. All right, so I'm going to the special 2 while I have that Fury. See, the bleeds are going up again. Now I fire off my special 2. Look at the crits. That's a 7K crit. This is a 4-star. Yes, I'm running suicides, but this is a 4-star. Okay, so that's pretty good. And then look at all of the bleeds. Now, granted, one of his weaknesses is if they are bleed immune, a lot of his damage comes from the bleeds, but he can still do some damage because, as we read earlier, if they're bleed immune, he gains cruelty. So there's still a way to play against bleed immune champions, but you do lose some damage. I haven't done any testing, but we'll see. All right, so that's all I wanted to show you guys. Not a full kill. I have another video that will be a rank up and gameplay video, and you'll see the entire fight. I think it was like an 8-minute fight against Winter Soldier. But the video was already long enough, so I didn't want to make it any longer. But I wanted to show you guys just those few things, how he could remove the suicides, how he was bleeding them as they hit into his block, how much bleed damage he was capable of doing, the Fury when he fires off his L3, and I wanted to, of course, show you guys his specials. All right, so that's going to do it, guys. Hopefully you found this informative. Click like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this video. And you guys have a blessed day.